Next one is now it gets a little more complicated.
Yeah.
Fixed indexed annuity. Fixed indexed annuity. So the fixed indexed annuities came out, probably late 80s, early 90s, and it's still an annuity, but instead of a fixed interest rate, you are participating into various types of indexes or indices. One most popular would be like an S&P 500. So there are all kinds of components here. There are caps, there are floors, there are participation rates. So not talking about any particular company or any particular index annuity, just trying to give you an example. So for example, let's say you put money into an annuity, a fixed indexed annuity, and it says, all right, we're gonna track your performance based on the S&P 500 index. And most simple one would be, on day one you put the money in, it's tracking the S&P 500. On your anniversary date of that annuity policy, if the S&P 500 went up 20%, and you have a cap of, let's say, 7. So that's the most you would make in this example. So that's called a participation rate, or a cap rate, I should say. It tracks it. Now, wonder if the S&P 500 went negative. In this particular example, they say, hey, you don't lose. It didn't go down. You just earned 0% for that given year. That's called a cap rate. Some will say, hey, we're going to let you participate, 60% of what the S&P 500 did. So if the S&P 500 went up 10, you earn 6. If the S&P went down negative, again, that's the 0. So that's the attractive component of the index annuity.
You have a floor of 0, and then you have a cap, which is defined by the insurance company because they change the cap rates, and they can change them year over year. And your cap is the maximum that you can earn within a contract year, not a calendar year. So it depends on when you open the contract. So, we all like to cite, financial advisors like to cite S&P 500 returns, typically on a calendar year basis. A calendar year basis is very different than your personal contract year basis. So there are little nuances to they're called crediting strategies. And there are several different, again, depending on the carrier and the product, you could be indexed to the Russell 2000.
Yeah, and some of them have fixed interest that you could choose. But you got cap rates, you got participation rates. And like Anthony said, that's not always going to be the same. So I've seen them as low as a cap rate of maybe 3%. Maybe the S&P went up 20. Well, you're stuck at 3. Yeah, you have that bottom. But the same concept with a fixed annuity, there's surrender charges to it. So you're usually married to that contract for a specified number of years, maybe 6, 10 years. Now, when I say married, usually you can pull out 10% without incurring a penalty.
I've seen some a little higher, but again, you got to read the contracts. Got to know what you're getting yourself into.
But to me, this is one of the most confusing types of annuities because of all the moving parts and all the crediting strategies and so forth. But go in with eyes wide open.
Sure.
All right. Why would somebody want a fixed indexed annuity? So the fixed indexed annuity, again, it's kind of in between a fixed annuity and a variable annuity. So you're capped at the top, but you have a floor of a 0. So some people say, well, look, I'm not a bull, I'm not a bear, but I'm a chicken.
Dad jokes for days.
I know. I want some of that upside potential.
But I'm a chicken.
That the market offers, like with an index annuity. Typically, not always, but the idea is they'll pay a little bit higher return than just a plain vanilla fixed annuity. That's the idea.
Right.
But typically, they don't have the potential of the variable annuity, so it's somewhere in between. So it's for that person that's still risk averse, but hey, I want that upside potential. And I like the idea of, hey, I'll accept a 0% return in a bad year versus where I would have gotten maybe 3 or 4% in the fixed rate. So they want those in between. They're risk averse, but still want potential.
You got it.
If you like what you're seeing so far, check out this next video. Subscribe to the channel. Lord willing, we'll see you next time.